once upon a time, if someone told you they were homeschooled, you might think, okay, they're obviously based in the middle of the country, or there's something a bit weird going on there. They came from a family that did things a bit differently, perhaps. It's interesting to read today that there's a huge rise in the number of children being taught from home. According to new data published by the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, in the 5 years to 2018, the number of children being educated by their parents surged by 2/3, with 5,429 students taught at home last year in New South Wales. I wonder if your kids or grandkids are part of this increase, and I wonder if anyone's been involved with homeschooling that might be listening that can tip us off and give us some information about it. It's also interesting to note the reasons that people teach their kids at home. Parents' fears that the education system cannot meet their children's special learning needs. Well, you can understand that, I guess. That's overtaken educational philosophy. Of course, there's other people that would say they're not being taught the basics and we should do more in that area, and that's fine as well. Let's see if we can drill down a bit and get some further info. David Roy, a lecturer in education at the University of Newcastle, joins me on the line. David, thank you for letting us interrupt your Good Friday.
Oh, that's fine, Luke. It's a pleasure to talk to you on 2GB.
And a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Is it safe to say the idea doesn't raise eyebrows perhaps quite like it used to?
Oh, it still raises some eyebrows with some people, but it is increasing, not just here in Australia, but in America as well, and there's increasing interest in it in other countries. It's growing.
If more parents are choosing to homeschool because of their child's special learning needs, that says something about our education system, doesn't it? Or shouldn't we expect it to cater for everyone?
Well, I think we should expect it to cater for everyone, and I think some of our current governments are trying to make changes, but it's clear that the school systems aren't managing to do so. This isn't just about stroppy parents. This is about parents thinking, our kids' needs aren't being met, and we're going to have to make some massive sacrifices to actually teach them at home. So it's not an easy thing for them to jump into. It can be quite complex and quite draining as a family to be able to do it.
David, there's another point here is someone that's seeing the media every day. There are stories, aren't there, that show that by comparison to other countries, our standards are seemingly slipping. I wonder if some parents make the conscious decision, I'll do a better job here at home than perhaps at school. Any evidence of that?
We don't have any direct evidence of that. There's always going to be people who are thinking that, and yet our standards are not what they should be. We are throwing tons of money at schools, and we don't seem to be improving. We don't really know why yet. There's lots of arguments one way or the other. One of the reasons might be we're not always doing, good policy in how we teach kids to do basic reading and writing, that we should maybe doing the phonics that people are telling us to do. But the biggest reasons are mainly because either there are not needs being met with special needs, or that people just don't agree with the government telling their kids how to be taught, and to think we want to do it differently. And now that we've got the internet, they've got access to all the materials that they can do it at home.
Do we have set up properly a system whereby a parent can consciously say to the education department or whoever, right, you won't be seeing my child at school, I'll be teaching them here at home? Is there a connection between those who do educate at home and the system itself?
Yeah, well, there is. They have to get approval. They have to get checked out by, in New South Wales, there's a law that they must have someone come to visit them and reapprove their registration every either year or second year. And that's a great thing. But some people go kind of under the spotlight and just homeschool without any registration. And it's the responsibility of the Department of Education and the Minister's Office to try to monitor that. And we don't have those figures to see how many are doing it, because it's not always fully followed up. So there needs to be a catch-up with that. But the system we've got is really good, because when people then get approved, then they know that they're using the actual correct curriculum that the kids will be taught, and that they're not avoiding education, because we've got to get the kids educated. It's a legal requirement and a human right.
I'm talking to David Roy, a lecturer in education at the Uni of Newcastle, about the increase in homeschooling. Is bullying a factor here? We do hear about some appalling behaviour at some schools. Does that play in?
We do hear about terrible behaviour from kids, sometimes from teachers as well. Look, bullying is the smallest reason. It is less than 1% of the reason that people are doing it. It's actually at 0.36%. So it's almost negligible, and in fact that number's going down. Less people are homeschooling because of bullying than for any other reason, and it's diminishing each year. So the really interesting thing is we've got about 40% of people who are homeschooling that we don't know why they're doing so, because they don't legally have to tell us.
What about the effectiveness of homeschooling? Are we able to evaluate if those schooled at home do better?
Well, yeah, we can actually. There's been research done. Some of it was put out in the conversation by a colleague, Rebecca English from QUT up in Queensland, which shows that the outcomes for kids who homeschool are either equivalent or sometimes even better than those from mainstream schools. So there's lots of questions to ask about what's going on in mainstream schools if some parents are actually doing it better at home. So there's no kind of downside to it. You're not getting worse results. Maybe it's because kids are getting more of a 1-to-1 or 1-to-3, depending on the number of kids, kind of teaching experience, and are able to really get in depth and have every part of their life become a learning experience rather than just 6 hours in the classroom and dump everything onto the teachers. Parents are taking responsibility for their kids being actually decent citizens in our great country, Australia.
Yeah, fascinating. And finally, is there financial help available? I don't want to reduce this to dollars and cents because you deserve, David, a much deeper conversation than that. But the system is funded by taxpayers, so I'm assuming someone in the family are paying their taxes and doing the right thing, but at the same time saving the state quid. So is there some little, here's some money for books or the like from government, or none of that exists?
There's absolutely nothing in Australia. New Zealand does give homeschooling parents money, but the $13,000 per year that's spent on every kid in a school, on average, homeschooling parents get none of that. So they have zero. On addition, when there's a homeschooling parent, they can't work because they have to, by law, be there as the homeschooling parent. So families are getting hit twice economically when this goes on. So it's a massive sacrifice for families to take on board. And up until now, governments and the education systems are not supporting these families. They're doing it all off their own back.
David, what a delight to talk to you. I appreciate your time.
And you.
Thank you. All the best. David Roy from the University of Newcastle talking homeschooling. Got a couple of callers online we'll come back to after a break, but if you've got a take on this, would love to talk to you. 131 873.